The diet industry is a $1 billion industry. You can see from the list here, there are just a small handful of the many, many diets that are on the market that make up this multi-billion-dollar industry. And some of the images here show you some of the marketing that goes along with it. There are tremendous messages in our world about, easy ways to lose weight, um, the key to successful weight loss, the pills that you can take. Weight Watchers is affiliated with McDonald's. There's so many images that we see every day around achieving a healthy weight, and it continues to be a significant struggle for individuals. So, why do we diet? I first want you to think about that. There's a lot of reasons why people may choose to lose weight. It might be because there's something coming up, they have an event ahead that they want to look better for or feel better for. It may be for their long term health, that they want to reduce their risk of disease conditions. It might be that they just want to feel like their clothes fit better. They want to feel physically better and they want to look better. Those are some of the main reasons that people are interested in losing weight. It is, again, a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's obviously really difficult to do well in our environment. And to think about some of the reasons for that. One argument is that genetically, some people are predisposed to struggling more with weight. And yes, our genes obviously play a role in every aspect of our health. Um, we historically, when food was scarce, our body is very good at storing energy so that we don't starve to death. Some people are better at doing that than others. They may have an evolutionary advantage in that they would have been the more likely to survive because their body is better able, more efficient at storing fat for energy. And during times of stress, we required having energy stored so that if we had to run from a wild animal, we would have the energy to do that. That, of course, is not the case today. Today, we live in what we like to think of as a toxic environment. We have a sedentary lifestyle. Our food choices are high in fat, sugar, and salt. Our portions are huge, and our culture is really not designed to promote good health. So, what do diets tell us? They tell us what we want to hear, that you can lose weight fast, you can keep it off easily, exercise is not important, you don't have to exercise, you can eat foods that you love as much as you want, and this is the solution. There is a magic bullet for weight loss. What works about dieting is, number one, it helps people to pay attention. So any quote unquote diet can be effective because it may make people just stop and think about the choices that they're making. Unfortunately, what doesn't work about most of the diets on the market is that it makes people feel deprived, restricted. It can be very rigid behavior, very strict practices that you have to participate in the types of foods that you're eating, and that isn't very effective for building it into your lifestyle. It doesn't always take into consideration hunger and satiety, which makes it very difficult to maintain long term. If you're feeling hungry all the time, it's not something you're going to be able to maintain for a long period of time. It often may create something that is a short term. Shortly, people may see some quick weight loss, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be able to continue at that pace for a longer term. And it can be some short term change in behavior, but again, not promoting anything long term that's going to be something that people can maintain. So, what does long term successful weight loss look like? Three main components of healthy weight loss: healthy eating, regular exercise, and lifestyle change. So, on the right hand side, you'll see some of the key components to healthy eating. Things that we've been talking about for previous weeks. Really, all just a healthy diet in general is going to also promote healthy weight management. Choosing whole grains, lots of fruits and vegetables, lean sources of protein, good nourishing healthy fats. In addition, water, really important. Research shows that people that consume a good amount of water, we typically still say that 8 glasses of water a day. It varies for each individual, but we know that people that drink a good amount of water are more effective at losing weight. Eating real whole foods, again, things we've talked about in our previous weeks. Eating real food is a key component in healthy eating. Portion control, we've talked recently about calculating calorie needs. It's very effective for people to have an idea about how much they need. On average, research shows that women underestimate how much they eat by about 500 calories a day. I think men slightly less. And that is, as you know, calculates to about a pound a week if you're underestimating how much you're eating by 500 calories a day. So, understanding those numbers can be helpful for people. Eating breakfast is important as well. We know that people that eat breakfast start out the day well nourished are more effective at losing weight, and then balancing intake throughout the day. So, not skipping meals, not eating larger meals, but having some consistency throughout your day. Nourishing your body, back to the above: whole grains, fruits, vegetables, healthy fats, lean proteins, getting good, adequate nutrition, lots of vitamins and minerals is effective. And then writing it down. Back to the portion control, knowing what you need. When people keep track of what they're eating, they are much more likely to make good choices because they are acknowledging regularly that awareness of, this is what I'm eating. Is this really what I want to eat? Is this going to be effective to help me reach my goals? So, those are some general healthy eating tips that we know are effective for long term weight management. Regular exercise, of course, we're not going to go into that in detail, but having consistent regular exercise doesn't necessarily create a tremendous calorie burn, but it does create some calorie burn. It does help to increase metabolic rate with increased muscle mass, and also it helps people to create a healthy lifestyle overall. When people exercise, they tend to make better choices in their food as well. And then some of the lifestyle changes to think about that we don't often correlate or talk enough about when it comes to weight management. Sleep, we know that sleep deprivation, chronic sleep deprivation, will correlate to weight gain. Hormones that help to regulate our appetite, as well as knowing to stop when we've been eating. So the hormones that tell us it's time to eat and the hormones that tell us to stop eating get out of whack when we are chronically sleep deprived. In addition, when people are not getting adequate sleep, they tend to crave more comfort kind of foods, more quick energy foods like simple sugars. Stress management, also hormonal levels change with chronic stress, which can increase particularly abdominal fat storage and increase weight gain. Emotional eating, we talked about that recently in a previous lesson. Paying attention to when and why you eat is also a key component to successful weight management. And then creating an environment that promotes success. Again, we live in a toxic environment around healthy eating and healthy living. Here are some things that are ideas around changing your environment. Cleaning out your kitchen, having a kitchen that's stocked like the image on the right with a lot of packaged foods. Food in boxes is not ideal. We want a kitchen that's stocked with fresh, whole, real foods and not things that are highly processed. Using smaller plates. When we eat off smaller plates, we tend to eat less. It's just psychologically how it works. Eating mindfully. In our culture, we do not often pay a lot of attention to our eating. We eat because it's time to eat, because the food's there, because it smells good, it tastes good, and we don't stop and take a breath and pay attention and enjoy our food, and that is beneficial for weight management. Choosing foods that satisfy. When people choose diet kind of foods that are low calorie, again, restrictive, perhaps taste like cardboard, don't necessarily have a tremendous amount of flavor, they're not going to feel satisfied. When people choose real whole foods that have a lot of nutrients and fiber and water, they're much more likely to be satisfied and maintain a healthy calorie balance. Shopping carefully so that you have a kitchen that is well stocked with meals and foods that are going to be nourishing. It's a lot easier to turn it away at the grocery store than it is when it's in your kitchen and you're hungry. Plan. If an individual has a plan for what they're going to eat for the day and for the week, they are much more likely to do that. If we, on a day-to-day basis, just wing it and eat whatever's in front of us and whatever's easily and quickly available in our environment, it's going to be high in calories, fat, sugar, and salt. Surrounding yourself with positive influences. Research shows that not only do we tend to have the weight, health, body shape as our family, but we also do of our friends. So when individuals surround themselves with people who are choosing a healthy lifestyle, who eat well, who prepare their meals, and who are physically active, they're more likely to do that as well. And then ultimately creating an environment that promotes success. I believe strongly that if you create that environment, you're much more likely to be able to live the life that you want to. If we are surrounded by temptation and inability to exercise and not giving ourselves enough opportunity to get sleep and a high stress world, then it's going to be much more difficult to maintain a healthy weight. So we have to take steps the best that we can to create that environment that's going to promote success. It's not always easy, and it does take one step at a time to move towards that, but every little bit adds up. That's what I encourage people to always think about, is if you can just make one small change, each week, each month, over a lifetime, that will add up to create that environment that's going to be more likely to maintain a healthy weight long term.